MJ right in your face.
Welcome back to the Faedaway Podcast, episode number 26. I'm your host, Fadi. I got my boy Zaid here with me. We're brought to you by the Ball is Life Podcast Network. As you can see, we have a little bit of a new mic setup today. The little technical difficulty to start the show, but
wasn't gonna stop us.
Won't stop us from bringing you the heat. So without further ado, but before we get into everything, how you doing, man?
Good weekend, sunny weekend, hot weekend.
So weather warning all weekend.
All weekend for anyone who went outside. Anyone who went outside went to the Toronto beaches were packed. Golf probably was packed. Swimming pools, lakes were all packed. It was hot. But something that wasn't hot, the fight last night between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. Really, really disappointing fight last night. I thought we were going to get some sort of knockout, mainly Floyd knocking out Logan Paul. But what I will say is I was surprised with Logan being able to last 8 rounds with the GOAT. Taking a lot of punches, not being knocked out. I will give him some credit there, but overall, underwhelming fight. I was expecting a knockout. Everybody was expecting a knockout.
Could you be the GOAT of a sport if you can't knock out a YouTuber 3 years removed from the sport?
Yeah, of course.
Why?
Well,
you think Mike Tyson would go 8 rounds with him 3 years out of retirement?
There's a few things. Floyd isn't a heavyweight and he wasn't known for knockout. He wasn't known for being a defensive boxer, right?
Yeah, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of boxing if you're not hitting.
He has 27 KOs against smaller guys. Logan Paul is like, what, 30 pounds? 35 pounds.
A lot bigger, a lot taller.
A lot bigger, a lot taller,
and he loved hugging him, too.
Yeah, loved hugging him. And it kind of, I don't think, everyone thinks that it was predetermined that there would be no knockout.
It was definitely predetermined.
I think it was, too. Yeah. So it's not about Floyd really trying to win.
Just think about it. Hey, listen, no knockouts. Both of us walk out of here safe. You get your 20 mil, I get my 100. And then we rematch.
Exactly.
We gotta do it again.
Do it again, more money, and then my brother.
It's just a family ordeal, and they're never gonna go broke. So, it's unfortunate that they're targeting the sport of boxing.
Yeah,
but this could never fly. There's no way. D Wade. Do you think a fan could challenge D Wade right now and train for 2 years and then beat D Wade 1-on-1? There's no way.
There's no way they would do that. You can't. Yeah, there's no way to do it for basketball. That'd be interesting though. If a YouTuber comes out and challenges all NBA players 1-on-1. That's the next $1 million idea. Pay-per-view, 1-on-1, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, whatever it could be.
Hey, we're YouTubers.
Let's do it. Let's challenge all of them. But exciting week, packed week. The first round of the NBA playoffs has officially come to a close. We'll talk about the winners and losers. I feel like we're going to talk a lot more about the losers because there's a lot more to talk about with them. Let's start with the Portland Trailblazers. They fell to the Denver Nuggets in 6 games.
We guaranteed 7.
I guaranteed 6 for the Blazers, and it did not turn out that way. Struggles for different personnel on the Blazers at different times. The Nuggets were pretty cool, calm, collected for the majority of Game 6. The Blazers were up 15 in Game 6, if I'm not mistaken, and they had it in the third quarter, and then they lost the lead, and the Nuggets were able to close it out. But now going forward, you're another year of a first-round exit. Another year where the team just wasn't good enough. I know you have some of your own thoughts about Portland not being able to beat Denver without Jamal Murray, and that they should have, and that team was too talented. It was too good to get knocked out in the first round. But I'm going to start and just say, if there was a year to blow it up, it for sure has to be this year, and it looks like it's going to be this year. Terry Stotts has already parted ways with the Portland Trailblazers, and now there's there's multiple teams and GMs interested in trading for CJ McCollum, and it looks like they're gonna maybe rebuild or
people actually want him.
He's
not bad.
Cleveland wanted him. Cleveland wanted him. I don't know what the other team. Miami wanted him as well. And there's 2 other teams.
Miami.
I don't know. They're just taking anybody who they can get at this point. With Victor Oladipo going down with the injury, they might need someone to replace.
He's
other wing
free
position,
agent, so he's gone.
But they brought him in with the expectation that he would come back. But it's time to blow it up. They're gonna blow it up. What do you want to see for Portland's future?
Well, for one thing, I want to start with Denver. Just give Jokic his flowers because
killed it.
For him to do what he's doing right now, to lead this team without their second best player, to beat Portland, a stacked roster, really
They're good players, man.
They have Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Norman Powell, Carmelo Anthony, Yusuf Nurkic, Enes Kanter. That's 6 more players than Denver has.
No, I wouldn't give them that much slack on their team.
They have
man.
a starting guard. One of their starting guards
It's 5'11".
was a guy. Well, that too. He's
starting?
small, but the other guy didn't even have a job in the middle of the year. Austin Rivers. They picked him up because they lost their first and second. They're playing without Jamal Murray and remember Will Barton?
Yeah.
He's up. That's another starter that's up.
Yeah. But
PJ Dozier, that's a kid on the bench that gives them depth. Another guy that's out.
They do have good pieces, though, when you want to compare those top 6 of Portland. They still got MPJ, who at times can really catch fire and can really contribute. Jokic, like you said,
but like
AG is still on that team. Austin Rivers is a midseason pickup, but he is a good NBA vet.
He won them 2 games in the playoffs, which is like, that's great
So
for them.
how you going to count him out?
Because that's unacceptable. Portland can't let that happen. You can't let Austin Rivers cook you. You're Portland. You have been a team for the last 8-9 years with the same coach, same core.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So, obviously, they need to blow things up. So, from Portland's perspective, I want to just... Actually, before I forgot to say Jokic's stat line. 33-10 and 7, I believe it was. Where's his assist numbers? 33, 10, and 5. Shooting 53% from the field, 43 from 3. And where's his free throw percentage? 92%. 50, 40, 90.
Dominance.
And he is a fantastic career playoff guy. He's a 50, 40, 90 playoff career guy. So, good on him. I mean, he's the MVP this year, no doubt. But C.J. McCollum, man.
Oh, you're gonna go off on him for sure.
C.J. McCollum dropped 3 points a game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He went from shooting 41% from 3 to a measly 33%. 33% in the playoffs. My beef with CJ comes, like, if I can just put it in a nutshell, he took more shots than Damian Lillard in the elimination game.
Right.
In no way, under no circumstances, should you have more shots than Damian Lillard in any game, let alone an elimination game. And this, mind you, this is Damian Lillard who had a historical offensive game in that series.
That's the game before.
55 points.
I think it was the game before he had that. Yeah, game 5.
CJ has too big of an ego. I saw it a little bit when they got Norm. He was looking Norm off. He didn't really want to give Norm the ball. And everyone was saying, trade CJ, keep Norm. That was like the sentiment. But this is just bad. Like they need to ship him out. Like there's no way you should be taking more shots than our guy. And I think that attitude is the reason why they're never going to succeed. Like they need a better number 2 guy. And I mean, Nurkic got mauled.
Yeah.
Nurkic got bullied.
Jokic is just flat out better than Nurkic. So
Bro, they threw everything at him, and by the end of the series, it was like, just gonna let him have it. What are you gonna do?
It was funny to see whenever Jokic would sub out, Nurkic would sub out, and then whenever Jokic would sub in, Nurkic would sub in. But nothing they were doing for.
Remember, they were teammates.
Yeah, they were teammates. That's another kind of underlying story that people forget was that Denver chose Jokic over Yusuf Nurkic, and obviously that was the correct decision to make. But a point I want to add to your CJ point, I'm gonna just like. I think Portland, and I had told you this before, they need more of a two-way two-guard or two-way wing as opposed to CJ. CJ's value only comes on the offensive end, and if he's struggling like he struggled in the series, they're not going to win games. They're not going to win playoff games. And then aside from that, you say his ego is too big. He's taking more shots than Dame. If you have a more defendant-minded two or more of a defendant-minded wing player to complement Dame and not take over his touches and not take over his shots, I think that would do Portland a lot more, a big favor. It looks like he's going to be traded this offseason. There's many teams that can definitely use the services of, I don't know if CJ is necessarily high
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I would say he's a star on a lower end star, a good offensive weapon, offensive piece to have.
Regular season guy.
And can't really lead your team to a playoff series or playoffs in general.
I think he can do exactly what DeMar did.
DeMar, I think, is more talented than he is. I don't know.
CJ is better 3-point, but at least shoots
better,
threes.
At least he shoots threes. Better. Maybe it was just DeMar had that volume, had the touches, so that he was able to produce.
DeMar just had the Eastern Conference.
Oh, yeah, the Eastern Conference.
CJ, I honestly think that they're exactly the same player, but like
they're very similar.
But
he can't. But he's not going to be the guy for your team. He's not going to be the guy to will your team to a playoff berth or a playoff series win. So There's many suitors for him. Many teams can use him as a second or third kind of guy if they use him correctly. Also, you throw in Terry Stotts in the mix, who doesn't really have much of a system there. When I watch Portland's basketball, I don't see much of putting guys in positions to succeed. Norman came in and was pretty successful. I don't really think that's due to coaching and where Terry Stotts is putting him. I just think Norm had an unbelievable season this year. So
yeah, I don't think there was a game plan.
Exactly. So when you combine CJ, a guy who wants to shoot and wants to carry the offensive load, with Terry Stotts, who doesn't really put anybody in any position to succeed, they're not going to succeed, and that's exactly what we saw. So it looks like they're going to stick with Dame. They better stick with Dame. So new coaching. Jason Kidd was in the mix. Lillard came out and said he wanted Jason Kidd.
Kind of awkward, man.
Pulled his name out of the hat once that kind of happened a day or two after, due to whatever reason. I can see why. That's definitely a tough situation to come into, and Jason Kidd likes more ready situations from if you've seen his previous coaching stints.
It's not an attractive job, man. It's a very high pressure job.
It's maybe it'll change now.
The whole idea why they're making a change is because they want to make moves in the playoffs. So you're coming in with the expectation of minimum at least conference final, I think, with this team.
Wow.
That's the expectation.
It definitely depends on the personnel that they have. If they're not able to get rid of CJ, if they're not able to bring Norm back, you keep CJ, you keep that same dynamic that hasn't been working the past 8 years, and you lose Norm, who's a great offensive weapon and a defensive weapon when he really wants to. Then you have another year of Carmelo Anthony, who's aged. You have Yusuf Nurkic, who plays a role, isn't really an offensive big, plays his role, plays it pretty well, but doesn't really contribute offensively. So if they come back with the same team, different coach, I don't think the expectations should be that high. Maybe a second round, maybe just an improvement in that sense, but
they made the conference final twice or once a couple years ago.
Once a couple years ago. So that might have been an overachieving
and
year.
If you really think about it, the teams that are left right now are Utah, Denver, Clippers, and who else? Phoenix.
All better teams other than
but
Denver missing.
They shouldn't. Any of those teams, Portland should be able to compete with. They should be able to compete with. They shouldn't like they have Damian Lillard, bro. What team like that has Damian Lillard?
It also took Damian Lillard 55 to get them to win that game.
Exactly. That's a Portland issue. I think that's a coaching issue too.
Very big coaching issue. So we'll see who gets hired. We'll see who gets inserted into that position. Who
stays, who goes.
A report actually came on before we came on saying Damian Lillard is no longer going to comment on or demand who he wants.
Yeah, because he got clowned.
I want to
say one thing about that. He had a lot to say when the Wolves hired Chris Finch, and he came out and said Vanderpool's on their bench. He's an experienced guy. He's NBA ready. But when it came to your and he alluded to privilege, but when it came to your own team, what did Jason Kidd do to deserve this what's it called, endorsement? First of all, why don't you say Vanderpool's name? You clearly think he's a head coach. Yeah. Why are you getting involved in another team when you're clearly exuding? And I say, they're like, yeah, he deserves to do this. He has the position, but it's still privilege. You're giving him, because they're from the same town. They're from Oakland, same city. This is privilege. This is a guy that you like and you want him. I get it. You want to keep your superstar, but don't get involved and call out another organization and say privilege this, privilege that, and then when it comes to your head coaching, it's kind of the same thing. I kind of found that a little.
I think Jason Kidd definitely does have a better resume than most.
Jake Kidd probably telling me, chill. I ain't trying to go to Portland. He's in LA, bro.
He's in LA. Yeah.
Trying to go to Portland.
He's a legend as a player. He's had previous experience as a head coach. Not the most success, but still previous experience. So sometimes it just depends what kind of cards you're dealt, what kind of team you have. So definitely, I would say Jason Kidd is way more qualified than the Minnesota assistant coach that he had mentioned earlier.
That guy had there.
But I think Dame Lillard learned a nice, valuable lesson to maybe not be so vocal this time.
Talk to the guy before you endorse him publicly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we'll see how Portland kind of ends up next year. Hopefully a different team, hopefully a different coach. Well, for sure a different coach, but a better coach. And we'll see what kind of expectations that are going to be placed upon them next year.
Yeah. No, that's enough out of Portland. I think that they know what they need to get done. Shout out to Denver. I'm excited to see them progress.
Yeah.
Let's talk about LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers, because LeBron took his first ever L in the first round in his career. He was 14-0 prior to this year.
Wash King.
AD went down for the 18th time in the series.
Right.
But he went down and did not come back.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting times right now in LA. What are your thoughts on this? Because they got rid of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and
Rondo.
Danny Green, and Rajon Rondo. And every single one of those guys, it seems like that's the position that they were missing. Schroeder disappeared. Caruso's not good enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then you look at the big men.
Shocker there.
The whole issue with Drummond, Harrell not getting any minutes, Gasol being washed.
Right.
You had all these guys in your possession. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Not just that, they also didn't trade for Kyle Lowry midseason and didn't want to give up THT. So that
who barely played in the playoffs.
Right, and who's once again not good enough to be on a championship team and be a contributor on a championship team. LeBron can no longer carry a team of scrubs through the playoffs, through a grueling playoff series. He's just like, it's not about him. He's old, man. It's not about him being washed. It's not about him being not as good as he used to be. He's still an amazing athlete, still very skilled, still knows how to play the game, but he just cannot carry that burden anymore like he could at 25 years old, 24 years old. When you have AD, who is, as prone to injury like as he is, like pretty much paper mache body, you can't rely. So we said last week, you can't rely on him. He had a pretty bad groin injury. It looked like he tried to play. It looked awful. I
don't know, yo. First of all, that's an issue. The fact that he played. Another whole issue is the doctors cleared him to play.
But
based on what?
We know there is some sort of not tampering, but playing with the clearing. I'm sure if LeBron says, "Yo, clear him to play," they're gonna say no to LeBron. No chance. They wanted him to give it. They wanted him to give it a try. He should have given it a try. I agree with that point.
He could have hurt it way more.
He could have really aggravated it a lot more, like you said. But Drummond not playing, not fitting in general is a huge issue. Harrell, they made Harrell disappear. Last year, he was a key player for a playoff team. Played 19 minutes a game and played, I think, only 9 minutes a game in this series. How do you reduce your minutes like that? You're still the same player. He's not washed. He's not getting older. He can still give you some valuable minutes. You just didn't go to him. Gasol.
Luke Kennard. Wrong team.
Wow. Yeah. Marc Gasol doesn't really play much. You bring him in as a championship move, but you don't use him at all. You don't use him to his fullest ability. So a bunch of it goes on the personnel. They didn't really build a championship team, and when you look at it, I felt sorry for what LeBron had on the court with him on the last game, and you saw he quit.
Oh, 100%.
You saw he quit that last game. He wasn't even trying. He was jogging up and down. I
honestly agree with you on the fact that he's 36. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He's 36 years old. He knows what he has left in the tank. He knows what he needs to compete. And I don't think he's trying to spare any extra time.
There's no way.
He's like, you know what? Even if we win this game, even if we advance, we're not ready. We're going to get pummeled in the next round.
Exactly.
And it's not worth it. He's going to do it by himself. AD's clearly not going to play. And AD is a problem. He's not reliable. He's not a guy that he can never be a number one guy.
Number two, it looks like he couldn't.
Skill-wise, he 100% could be your number one guy. But you're right. Even number two at this point, it's fringe. If you're investing in a team, he's like Porzingis right now. He's a very risky investment.
Yeah.
Because Porzingis, we're going to talk about him in a second, but he also misses a lot of time for injury.
Right.
He's a guy that you want theoretically to be your number two, but he's never available. He's never reliable. He's just not it. So, interesting stuff. I think the Lakers have a big offseason ahead of them.
Not a good enough team. Dennis Schroeder disappeared, which is very poor on Dennis Schroeder.
Guy looking for $100 million. He turned down 84.
He would have had a really good contract if he had just shown up in this playoffs. They didn't even have to win. If he had just shown up, he would have got a great deal in the summer. I'm not sure how much he'll get now.
He might still fleece a terrible team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He can still get paid. There's no doubt. But just the team that the Lakers constructed, it looked really nice on paper, and then when you saw it at the end of the season, you saw it didn't really play out. And then when you lose guys to injury, it really doesn't play out. And now you kind of have to go back, and Lakers got to step back and say, yo, we might need a new number one option. AD can't survive a whole season, can't survive a whole series.
Yeah, there's no question.
Could it be due to, the prolonged or the late season last season and the short off season this season? Maybe some more rest will help. Maybe something like that will help. Maybe. But at the very least, the Lakers need a new threat. They need they need a third star to join that team, and they need it badly, or else they're not going to be in championship contention at all.
Dame.
Yo, if they could do that, they should do that. Why not?
I want Dame in New York. Stephen A. Smith planted the seed, and I've just been imagining the possibilities of Dame in the Garden every night.
It would be great.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on from LA and talk about
your team.
My guy.
Your guy.
So I was. This is bittersweet. I'll say this. I don't think that Dallas deserved to move on because they were relying way too heavily on one guy. Like, they were clearly, this is the definition of getting backpacked. Like,
Luka deserves to move on.
100%. 100%. But when you think about, like, you guys were up 3-2, and you had 2 chances to win this game, to win the series. And everyone that's not named Luka Doncic is completely a non-factor.
Cheesy. Like, they just crap the bed.
Kristaps Porzingis. Not going to swear on air.
Bro.
Kristaps Porzingis went from 20 points a game to 13 measly points per competition. 5.4 rebounds at 7'3". And you know what this guy says after the series? The audacity that this man has to address the media and say, I feel like an afterthought. I feel like I came here to support Luka, but I'm a non-factor.
Be a co-star. Look at your numbers, bro.
At some point, he was averaging less rebounds per game than
Campazzo, my guy.
Is it Facundo or Facundo?
I think it's Facundo. I like Facundo better.
I thought it was Facundo, and then I was listening to a pod and they called him Facundo, and I died. I thought it was very hilarious. But
I like Facundo.
Anyways, guy's 5'11". He's averaging more rebounds than a guy who's 7'3". You drop 7 points a game, and the only thing I'll give him is that he did put up 16 shots a game in the season, which dropped to 10 in the playoffs. But my man, if you're getting 10 shots and you can't get more than 13 points, you're not getting more than 10. You're not getting that 11th shot. You're not here to play, bro.
I will say it's a mix of both. It's gonna be a mix of KP not being able to be assertive, not being able to be dominant, not being able to be productive with his minutes and with his shot making. At the same time, Rick Carlisle has to do a better job of putting him in a position to succeed because because there's a lot of Luka is so ball dominant that it gets guys out of the game. He had one game, I think it was the game 7, where he deferred to his guys a lot and was passing in game 6, and they weren't hitting shots. That's the only time I saw in the series that he was deferring to his teammates a lot and they weren't coming through for him. Other than that, it's Luka dribbling, which is, listen, I understand. He's the best guy on the floor. He's the only shot maker. He's the only guy who can contribute and make guys better, make guys succeed. But at the same time, you're wearing him out. This is what his numbers: 46, 29, 42, 19 in game 4, but he was injured that game. 44 game 3, 39 game 2, 31 game 1. You're relying on him.
7, you mean?
No. I went in reverse order.
Oh, okay.
But you're relying on him so much to score and do everything for your team that it kind of also takes guys out of the game. When it comes to KP, number one, don't talk. Like, you average 4 rebounds for a 7-footer, 5 rebounds for a 7-footer. That's unacceptable. Go in there, bang with the big boys, get some rebounds, contribute when you're not scoring. On the other hand, be ready to knock down shots. If Luka's giving you the ball, make the most out of the possessions, and then don't act like you're surprised that the team is not prioritizing you as an asset. You're not playing like you're an asset. So I think it's a bit of a mix of both. Rick Carlisle has to do a better job of making Luka and Chris, mesh and play maybe a 2-man game alongside the other 3 guys on the floor. But at the same time, KP, you have done nothing to prove that you are a star. You are a star player. You're not considered a co-star for a reason. My
issue as well with this team is that they need to build better around Luka. They need better shooters. Luka's style of play. Luka is a very similar style of play to James Harden. Very ball dominant guy, a guy who can get a lot of points, a lot of assists.
Right.
But he needs spot up shooters because he's doing the movement. He's doing the playmaking. Mm-hmm. So you can't have guys that are unreliable shooters or inconsistent shooters. You need to build a better roster. They were at some point starting Boban and KP.
Yeah, that's ugly.
But man, that's the biggest lineup in NBA history. It was literally your power forward is 7'3", your center is 7'6" or 7'5".
What further proves your point to which is what I like, is that the games in which Dallas was successful, yeah, Luka dropped 35 plus, yeah, Luka dropped 40 plus, but guys were ready to play and ready to shoot. Hardaway Jr. came in.
He's their second best player.
Was lights out for kind of majority of the season, majority of the series. He was one of the main guys that was able to knock down shots when they needed it.
Finney-Smith had a couple of good games.
He had a few good games and was able to produce and was able to contribute to a win. So when guys are knocking down shots, they could be a pretty good team.
And they were missing JJ Redick.
Right, but they just need guys who can knock down shots consistently. If you do it once every 5 games, that's not going to win you a playoff series. You're not going to advance in the playoffs.
My issue is I think they can get better from Nico Melli.
They can.
Maxi Kleber. Like, these guys are just these random European guys that Cuban's obsessed with, and it's like, dude, just stop.
Get shooters. Fill the roster with shooters. Bring in some really quality, good shooters.
I wonder if anyone wants to play with Luka, though.
Depends, man. Yeah, that's very true, and that's why I'm saying being ball dominant isn't as enticing for anybody to come and play with you. You know, you look at all the ball dominant guys. James Harden couldn't really make it happen in Houston, although they were close. It doesn't work. You bring him over to Brooklyn, he's more off the ball, or when he is a point guard, he has got other guys. He doesn't have to be the guy to dribble and shoot.
I feel like even with James, his teammates communicated better, or they took it more from him rather than
Luka,
a Caucasian man. You know what I mean?
European kid.
You know how it happened. You know how it is in the NBA.
Luka's also a kid. He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
So if you're a 25, 26, 30-year-old kind of guy who's been around the league, you look at this kid who's 21, taking all the shots, handling the ball all the time. Yeah, he's Luka Magic, but you're like, yo, like, this is a child.
Yeah, and if you also want to take it another level, Harden was looked at as, oh my God, he's the guy who can never win. He never leads his team, blah blah blah. And then Luka's the guy who he has no teammates, he has no this. I'm falling into the trap a little bit because I'm a Luka stan, but that is the sentiment. So that also contributes to people not wanting to play with you.
That will also catch up to Luka. Luka's only been doing this. He's only been in the playoffs 2 seasons. He's still young. The team sucks.
Yeah.
So he's not getting that treatment yet. James has been in the playoffs for 7, 8, 9 years now.
Yeah.
Tried to do alone, couldn't do alone.
Second playoff run, 36, 10, and 8, shooting 40.
He's great.
41% from 3.
He's great. We know he's great.
Ridiculous.
He just needs help.
Yeah, definitely. If he had one All-Star, just one All-Star, if he had a CJ McCollum, I think he can make more out of him than anyone else. But anyways, that's besides the point. Let's talk some round 2 basketball, because some of the series already started. I believe the Eastern ones have started. So, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, first things first. Brooklyn just became human again.
Yeah.
They lost James Harden.
I know.
And he's not playing game 2.
Yep.
I don't anticipate him coming back soon. I think if Brooklyn takes game 2 2-0, I think they're going to rest him a little bit.
Yeah.
Nagging injury that he's had all year. He missed 20-some-odd games. Hammy.
Hamstring.
44 seconds into the game 1 of the Milwaukee Bucks series, he pulls the hamstring. And I was just sitting there and I was like, you know what? Like, you would think losing James Harden would put your team at a disadvantage, but it just made it even.
What a luxury.
It made the series even. And at that point, Brooklyn proceeded to slap Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They toyed with them.
Yeah.
You know what? When the Brooklyn Nets are just that without Harden, you can't hate.
They look
In fact,
good.
you gotta
really
love
good.
it.
They look really good, man.
They were not just good, they were hella entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Harris,
shooter.
Amazing game. Claxton is a defender.
Yep.
I really like him.
He's a good young guy that they have.
And obviously KD, Kyrie is sensational. Kyrie is...
He
I honestly
dances
think Kyrie he dictates how he plays based on how he feels. I think if he wants to give you 40,
turn on.
He'll give you 40.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He looks better than ever.
Also, what I love is Blake Griffin, BG,
Oh,
filling in the holes.
You see his stat line?
Which
18 and 14.
There it is.
6 threes.
He fills in the holes whenever you need it.
Detroit's pissed.
If you need him to score, he'll score. If you need him to be physical, he'll be physical. If you need to rebound, he'll rebound the ball. And that's what is so good about this Brooklyn team, is that they have so many weapons, and it seems like the egos are not there, right? Like it doesn't matter who shoots. The main 3 guys, they take turns, but other than that, everybody else wants to just play their role, do what they need to do to win games, and they look good doing it. I had Brooklyn in 5. when James Harden was playing. I think there's going to be Brooklyn in 6. If James Harden is going to miss a few games,
I still think it'll go to 7. Because
Milwaukee
played a terrible game 1. They were sluggish. They shot very, very poorly from 3. I think they were like 6 of 31. It was something ridiculous.
Right.
Very, very poor game shooting from 3. I think, Giannis played well, but nobody else played well.
Right.
And I think that's going to change. Also, when your mindset coming into a game is that I'm going up against Harden, Kyrie, and KD, and then that changes mid-game, your game plan changes, your mindset changes a little bit. So I think that preparation heading into game 2, knowing who you're playing, is going to be better, because I think Drew Holiday now can even zone in on just Kyrie, because you go with, like, where do you want this guy? Where do you throw him, like PJ Tucker? I think now without Harden there, you can focus in more on better defensive assignments. So I think I can see Milwaukee stealing game 2.
Yeah, they can steal game 2. I'm okay with that.
I like the series.
This is a very, very competitive series. There's stars.
Would you say the winner of the series wins the chip?
With the chip.
These two are the best 2 teams in the league.
Brooklyn's going to win the chip.
Actually, you know what? I think I'm heavily underrating Utah. I think Utah's an amazing team. And I think once they got Donovan Mitchell back, it was game over. They lost that game 1 against Memphis, and people thought that, oh my God, yeah.
That's what I said, man. There's no way. Like, you don't have Donovan Mitchell, you don't have your main guy. But Brooklyn, I think, is going to win it all. So if I don't doubt that Brooklyn will come out of this round, I don't doubt they'll come out of the next round. Milwaukee, out of the other teams, they are one of the teams that do stand a chance. They might be the only team that stand a chance in the East against Brooklyn. If they do upset them, I'd be shocked. I don't think it would be upset. If James Harden doesn't play, this is a very even series. You have Drew Holiday, Giannis, and Chris. And then you have KD and Kyrie. Remind you, there's no big 3 anymore. It's just 2 of them against Milwaukee's 3. Milwau's 3 is probably good for these 2 guys. I would say it's an even series. Say it's an even series. If James
it wouldn't be an upset.
I'm still going to go Brooklyn in 6. And there you have it. Yeah, Brooklyn in 6.
Yeah,
Milwaukee
I like it.
Does stand a chance, though. I won't be mad if they win.
Yeah, Milwaukee's a good team. They're playing tonight, I think, in 9 minutes. So we'll see how that game goes. But that was an interesting game 1. Talk about interesting game 1s.
Wow.
This kid is on a tear.
Wow.
This kid is the player of these playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Trae Young went into Philly, gave them another 30-piece in this playoffs.
Yeah.
And they took game 1 from them. They were up 20 on the road. Ended up squeezing it out at the end, but they were up 20 on the road. They threw Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, whoever you want, they threw at Trae, and nothing
Danny
worked.
Green, nothing worked at all. And
that kid is sensational.
When you look at the game stats, that you look at the box score, Atlanta had no business winning this game. Listen. Sixers shot 55% from the field to Atlanta's 51.
65?
55.
Okay.
Where I'm gonna do the Philly advantages. Philly had 41 rebounds to Atlanta's 35, 8 offensive rebounds to Atlanta's 3, 5 blocks to Atlanta's 3 blocks, 12 more steals, 2 more steals, 4 more turnovers, which is for the Sixers, plus 18 points in the paint for the Sixers. They dominated the paint. Obviously, Embiid's in there dominating. And they committed less fouls. Here is where it's insane to take in the effect of the 3-point shot. And this is how Atlanta was able to build their lead. This is how Atlanta was able to kind of just squeeze out that game in the end. Atlanta shot 43% from 3, making 20 of 47 threes. The Sixers shot 35% from 3, making 10 of 29. Doubled up on the threes.
Plus 30 points.
Plus 30 points. And that's the effect of Trae Young, because he's
not just Trae, bro.
And the rest of the team as well.
Those guys, that supporting cast, I think a lot of people forget how good the Hawks are. Like I had a debate this week with a guy who, some guys are really convinced that Trae Young is better than Luka Doncic now, because when they're always being compared, and then one team advanced, the other doesn't. But it's like, this dude has weapons. Bogdanovich gave them 21.
Yep.
Kevin Huerter gave them 15 off the bench. John Collins gave them 21 points. Mm-hmm. They have Gallinari. They have Lou Williams. These guys are all guys who can create their own offense. They don't need anyone. It gives Trae the freedom to do his thing. He doesn't have to rely on giving you the ball in the pocket and making sure you're perfectly set. Their young guy, Okongwu, the rookie, I love him.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Capella, double
Plays
machine.
his role. These
Guys are deep. I don't want to hear anything about the Atlanta Hawks not having a roster. They have a very deep team.
Trae Young was a -11 for the game. And that's how good their team is.
He had, what, 35?
Yeah, 35. And he had 35 and 10 assists.
Yeah.
And they've got guys who can knock down shots. They can all shoot threes. They've got like if you put Doncic on that team is making the second round.
Mm-hmm.
They've got guys who can knock down shots. They've got a big who knows how to play his role, and they let their ball handler cook. And that's exactly what Dallas needs to do. So when you look at it side by side, I know there's always, like you said, there's always that Trae Young, Luka Doncic comparison. Yeah, Doncic has been in the playoffs more, has willed his team to the playoffs more than Trae has, but Trae's team this year is just so much better and complements him so well.
Also, pull up the box score again. I want you to look at their what's it called? Their free throw. Their free throw percentage.
Free throw percentage too.
Because that was also a little.
So, the Sixers had 35 free throws and made 24 of them, sitting at 69%, while the Atlanta Hawks shot 20 for 21, 95% from the free throw line.
That's the key.
And I mean,
you have weapons that can shoot their free throws. Trae Young is averaging 94% from the free throw line. Bogey can shoot his free throws. John Collins can shoot free throws.
Yeah.
Gallo, Lou, they can all shoot free throws. This is a very deep team, and they almost gave it up at the end there, but Bogdanovich hit a massive three, and then the refereeing came in clutch, but Trae Young had like a half-court heave to John Collins, which connected somehow, but this team is deep, and they just walked into Philly and stole game one. They're playing with house money. So they can make a conference final run, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Playing like the way they're playing, the Sixers did look very
sluggish.
Ugly that game one. They came out.
Joel Embiid has a partial tear, and he was their best player by a mile.
And that's another thing. Joel Embiid, I think it's a meniscus.
Yes.
So it's a partial tear in his knee. Still dropped 39. How much can they rely on Joel Embiid on a bum knee? Not much, in my opinion.
Well, he gave them 39.
Right.
But nobody else came out.
And they still lost. I don't think he can like, on a bum knee, you want him to give you 40 on every single night, and you want to win 4 games. That's gonna be really tough. If you had asked me before the series, I would have said Sixers in 6. I don't know if I can say Sixers. This could be something that goes into Game 7. It depends a lot on the health of Joel Embiid. He might go down Game 3.
At this point, I don't think they stand a chance without him.
They don't.
I thought before that maybe they could still steal 6-7 games.
No, they don't.
The fact that you just lost at home with Embiid giving you 40 points makes me very, very worried if he were to miss some time or not be able to play.
They're not going to win that game if they miss.
People said Ben Simmons would take Trae Young out of the series, and I don't know. Maybe he'll come back better, but 35 and 10
doesn't look like it.
Tough, but I mean, shout outs to Trae Young, shout outs to the Hawks. They're very exciting. They're a very good story.
Yeah,
and I think that they're a good team to stay, man. They're very young. Milwaukee missed out on Bogey big time.
We got to see where John Collins signs. That's the big question and the big if for the Hawks this summer. He's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
John Collins reminds me of obviously not a position wise or even style of play, but a James Harden situation, where I feel like once he leaves and gets his own situation,
he'll be a star.
He's gonna be a star.
Very interesting take. We'll have to see him develop. I have to see that one. I do think the Atlanta Hawks are going to match that offer though wherever he goes, because
it depends
second
on
round
money,
berth. Invest in Trae. Invest in him long term. It does depend on the money. Are they willing to shell out all that money? But
they got guys. They got DeAndre Hunter, who's a young guy. Okongwu, who's a young guy. Who do you? Cause that's the thing about these young teams, man.
Tough.
You hit the lottery, and then all of a sudden they're all up for extension.
Exactly. So I do think it'll be worth it for them, especially the way he's been playing, the way he complements. I think the biggest thing is the way he complements Trae. You don't find 2 young stars complementing each other as well as John Collins and Trae Young, and that's something you want to really grow with and really keep going with. Nate McMillan has done a phenomenal job turning that team around. We've said that many times on this podcast, and he's a coach who knows how to coach in the playoffs as well, and you can see that. So it'll be a very interesting series. It's very dependent on health. Once the Sixers lose Joel Embiid, it's a wrap. Eastern Conference Finals berth for the Hawks.
It's going to be a very interesting one. And depending on how injuries go, they might end up their way in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. That would be crazy.
This season, like I saw a graphic. It was like all the teams that are left. Now Dallas is gone. So the last championship was 1974.
Right. Yeah.
None of these teams have won in like 30 years. So that's very exciting. Good time for the league, man. Let's flip to the West.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 series there that have not started.
Yeah.
Clippers and Jazz, Suns Nuggets. So let's start with Clippers and Jazz. I'm going to go Jazz in 6 because the Clippers just showed that they could hardly beat Luka Doncic and company by himself.
Yeah.
They took him to 7 games. They didn't win any game at home except for Game 7.
Yeah.
The Jazz are a very well-coached team. They're a very deep team. They're a great defensive team, great offensive team, top 5 in both. And they have all the build to be a very, very strong team. I'm going to go Jazz in 6.
I'm going to go Jazz in 7. I do think if there's one thing the Clippers are good at, it's holding on for dear life and maybe squeezing their way in. But I don't think they're going to have enough in Game 7, especially with Utah at home. Utah was really good at home, and they have a really good home crowd. I just don't. I find it hard to trust a team that is forced to rely heavily on Kawhi Leonard. They weren't forced heavily to rely on Kawhi Leonard the way the Clippers are.
What? What do you mean?
The Clippers?
They have at least Paul George.
I mean,
he's playing well,
like decently well, but he's really gonna up a lot of it. I think. I do think the Raptors constructed a team far better than the team that was constructed around Kawhi Leonard.
I think they constructed fine. The players are the ones that aren't playing well. You have
well. That's. I mean,
yeah,
that's, you gotta go with what you do.
I don't. I think you could trust Kawhi.
I think you could trust Kawhi, but you want him to carry a team and rely on him to drop 40 a night to win a game, to win a series. That's tough.
He legit did that for us.
40 a night.
And when it got to the Philly series,
he was
Milwaukee.
He was from what comes to Milwaukee. He did it.
Philly game 6, he gave them 40 on their home floor. He's that dude. Kawhi's that dude, and that's why I was gonna challenge your point of if they go to a 7th game, I don't know that the Jazz can win because Kawhi again showed out last night in a game 7, 28, 10, and 9. That guy he's the only player with 200 career playoff games. Sorry, he's one of 3 players all time to be 60-40-90, not 50-40-90.
60-49. Right.
And the other one is like Shaq, a center, and and Kareem, another center.
Yeah.
Hey man,
could be done. I don't know. I don't trust it.
Kawhi's that dude.
I don't trust it. I don't trust the Clippers. Clippers, like
they look like crap.
They suck.
Yeah.
They don't look good. They don't look good together. The pieces don't look like they fit. Coaching sucks. It's here Kawhi, take the ball and take us there. Paul George, take the ball, try to take us there.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. They don't play as a team. The Jazz are so good as a collective. They're so good together. They're so well coached.
I don't even know what's good with that team's coaching. Like Luke Kennard, 6 minutes tonight. Like,
listen, Tyloo,
65 mil.
What are you gonna expect? Like, especially when you bring in a coach that was an assistant to their head coach last year. Like, what change are you really expecting to make in that game?
Literally, I promise you, they want to be the Raptors so badly. The issue is Tyloo is a decoy, and we said this. The problem is that LeBron James won a championship with Ty Lue as coach. That's the issue. They think that he's changed the offense. No. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm sure Ty Lue's tweak overcame a 3-1 deficit.
It looks no different than last year, and if Paul George once again doesn't show up, they don't stand a chance. And Paul George, he hasn't not shown up last series, but he also didn't really show up last series as well. If I'm Paul George, you put up less than 25 points on efficient shooting or inefficient shooting. That's not enough for me. You need to show up in the playoffs. You're the number 2 guys. You're pretty much 1A and 1B. He's not even considered to be the number 2 guy on that team. So if you're not gonna put up 25 points a night, you're not gonna shoot efficiently every night. You're not gonna rebound the ball. You're not gonna play sound defense for your team. That team isn't making it far. So I don't have much faith in the Clippers. You want to take Jazz in 6? I'll take them in 7. I think they'll still push them a bit. Mm-hmm. But in general, I mean, if the Clippers do make it out, they make it out. That's expected. But I don't think if either one of these teams makes it out, I don't think it's going to be an unexpected situation. It's so hard now for me to trust the Clippers after what they put me through in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, to Paul George's credit, he is putting up 24, 9, and 6 in the playoffs.
I need more.
The issue
You
is
need more.
31% from three. 30.6% is a very, very
How
bad
much do you shoot
number.
overall from the field?
47%.
Not terrible. Not terrible.
No, it's not. It's not. The three
more.
is the one that needs the improvement. I think it'll be fine, and he hit a lot of big shots. So I don't want to say anything like too negative about him. I do think that
better than last year.
Utah is going to come out running, and I think that like the thing is when you think even about the Toronto Raptors run and Kawhi Leonard in general, the Raptors swept the first round. I think, or no, they lost 4-1. It was game one. It was 4-1.
They won game 4-1. Yeah.
They didn't go to 7 games. They didn't even need Kawhi that much in the first round. So Kawhi saved that energy for the second half of the second round.
That's what I'm talking about, his legs.
Now it's 2 years later, and you're making him go to Game 7 and do all this in the first round. That's when it gets a little scary because he can definitely do it. I just don't know if he can do it
consistently
now,
after
this first round.
And you're doing it, and by the way, he has to do it for 3 more rounds
against really, really good teams.
So you're asking him to carry on.
Funny because they lost on purpose to be in this position.
Exactly.
That's the best part.
So you're asking Kawhi to carry a team, drop 40 a night when he's had leg issues, when he's had games where he wants to take off in order to rest. You're not giving him much rest right now. Yeah. So you want him to last the whole NBA playoff. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah. And the last series to go over, Suns Nuggets.
This is a really good series.
I think this all depends on the health of Chris Paul. I think if Chris Paul's out, it's a little more even because you got the Chris Paul on one side, Jamal Murray on the other. But with a healthy Chris Paul, I'm going to go Phoenix in 6 as well.
I'm going to go Phoenix in 6 as well. I think they're both very well coached. I just think Phoenix is more dependable, more reliable. What you see from Denver is when somebody gets hot in the first or second quarter, they tend to go away from him for the rest of the game, which doesn't really show they know how to play together as a team. They don't really know how to encourage one another to do well. Phoenix 1 through 5, any person on the floor performs their role well. D-Book has been
fantastic,
a killer. He's gonna give you a 40 a night, and you know it's coming, and you know it's reliable. You know it's reliable 40 a night. Chris Paul has been a great leader for that team, great floor general. If he is injured, if he's not healthy, I don't think they come out with that series. I do think they need his presence a lot. And Ayton has been playing great as a big.
Yep.
I would love to see that Ayton Jokic matchup. I would love to see if Ayton can slow him down. I don't think it's possible for him to do. I would love to see what he does with him. I don't think Jokic is going to be able to slow down Ayton. Not that he produces a crazy amount, but I think Ayton's still going to be able to get his.
Who guards Devin Booker?
Yeah. They're probably going to throw multiple guys on him.
Campazzo? Campazzo's an annoying
that's what I'm saying. Don't get it wrong. Campazzo might be put on him at some point in the game just to bother him, just to be that pesky dude. I can't imagine they'll throw a guy like AG on him too big.
Morris, probably.
Monte Morris, MPJ, too big.
But they might put AG on him.
They might put all of them just to see what sticks.
MPJ can't play defense for his life. There's no chance.
He's long and tall. Who knows?
Trust me.
I agree.
That's like a black hole.
I agree. They might put you might want to just try out different things to see what sticks for that specific game. Maybe go small and pesky, go big and long on him. See if you can really keep up with him and put a hand in his face.
D-Book is D-Book.
D-Book is D-Book. He's gonna get his. We know that. He's literally been Mamba mode this whole playoffs, and I hope he continues it.
He's averaging 29.7 points a game, 49, 43, 94 splits.
Insane.
Just under 50, 40, 90. So
you love it.
What a debut for a lot of these guys, and I'm excited this playoffs just continues to get better and better. I don't think we have any more to talk about for the rest of the night because
we have a little bit of time. Let's squeeze this one in. The Boston Celtics made a bunch of key changes. Danny Ainge has stepped down, or they've mutually agreed to part ways from that GM position, and they have promoted. Is it a promotion?
It's definitely a promotion.
Brad Stevens up from coach to GM or president because he's got so much president experience, and now they're looking for a head coach. When I read this, I was really confused.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, Brad Stevens is known and it was expected to be, boy genius, boy wonder, the young coach that's going to take this team far to the finals, to a championship. Didn't deliver. What makes him so qualified to be promoted to a president position?
Of basketball operations.
Because he couldn't do it as a coach. he's never been a president of basketball operations before. Maybe he's done some recruiting or whatever for the
Baylor.
college team, Butler.
Butler.
But that's not really the same as putting together an NBA team, dealing with contracts,
Personalities,
superstars,
egos,
egos, whatever it may be. So I don't know that this is the best move, and you're kind of expecting Brad Stevens to clean up.
Isn't it funny how he couldn't deal with superstars as a coach?
And now you want him
Now
as
he's
a
supposed
GM.
to be a GM.
It just doesn't seem like the right move. I think the Celtics took a step in the wrong direction by not getting rid of Danny Ainge by promoting Brad to that position.
They definitely took a step in the right direction.
Definitely a step in that direction. I just don't see the vision. I don't see where they're going. The coach they get better be good. Because if you're gonna force Brad Stevens to move the guy that you harped about for years, you better bring back a good coach.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing about it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they bring in. Their list of candidates was hilarious. I saw it the other day.
Who was it?
I sent it to you. I can't remember the exact details of it, but they had it was like an odds list.
Oh, it was odds
and
list.
like Jeff Van Gundy was on the Jeff Van Gundy
He's
needs to start being
perpetually
mentioned
on that list.
in all these lists because it's just getting a little too ridiculous. But yeah, they had maybe 10 names.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out, but I can't have it off. I don't know off the top, but it was a very interesting list. But I mean, that's for another day. But I think tonight we got Brooklyn game 2, and we got game 1 of the Phoenix series. So I'm excited for that. And the boys are gonna hit up a bike ride right now, so we gotta get active. You know where to find us: Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you go to send
TikTok.
a message, like a picture, TikTok.
DM.
We are there. So hit us up, subscribe, like, follow, give us any suggestions, and we'll come back to you next time.